Can we start? Is everyone here? Do we know if...
Yeah, Mary won't be here.
Mary will not be here. Okay. All right, let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Kim Pearson.
Here.
Susie Harley.
Here.
Catherine Wickman.
Here.
Justin Baston.
Here.
Brandon Williams.
Here.
Mary Harmon is absent tonight.
Okay. And looking to approve the meeting minutes from May 8th.
I move we approve the minutes. I read them.
A second?
All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from May 8th?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved. Flying. Take that means no old business?
Nope.
All right. New business.
Technically, this could have been old business, but we're about a month out from the 5K, so we want to give you an update. It's a little scary. We're about a month out from the 5K. It has come together slower, and that's just getting to it and everything else. But we're having pretty good success. Nikki did a fantastic job getting out to the local businesses. She's waiting on me to get out to the developers. She reminds me every day. So that's on my list for this week, but we just want to give you a snapshot of where we're at for just local businesses of this is as of today. I just updated it right before this. We're at about 5,700, so a little bit shy without having hit our developers yet. So, but that actually covers all the expenses of the 5K plus some, so we're doing great. So now we're just working on fundraising for the building of Ryder McCordsville Fund and Christmas lights and everything else. So we're fine either way. The biggest thing I would say we're concerned about right now is we have 10 people signed up for the 5K. So,
Okay.
so we're pushing it out the best we can through our channels. We are part of the passport. What's that called? The 5K passport.
Passport to 5K.
5K, which is a group of all the Hancock County 5Ks. Fundraising's going good. Racemakers. The one thing we're probably pushing on Racemaker now is to set the route, because they wanted to tweak the route, and we need to get that pushed out to show people what the route's going to be. So we're getting on that this week, and then it's just a matter of getting some people to sign up. So.
Okay.
If that's the worst problem, then we're doing okay. But it's come together pretty well, and we'll keep trying to get more sponsors in there and tighten up all the last minute things. Did we have the medals last time? Did you guys get to see the medals? Did I bring those last time?
Oh, I think we just saw the design.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got them sitting in my office. I'll
Yeah.
grab
I
one.
saw the physical ones.
So this is actually the medal design, but it'll also be the front of the T-shirt design.
It's cute. I like that. The way it incorporates 9-star too. That's pretty neat.
Yep. Since they pay for that, we are more than supportive of that. And there it is. If we get a darker shirt, what it'll look like on the shirt. Which brings us to the one decision I really do need from you tonight, because Nikki and I can't agree. So, is last year we had a black shirt. We like to mix it up. I won't speak directly. Nikki's preference is to put it on navy. We're trying to go with the new logo colors this year, and you saw that we had one on a navy, what it would look like, and then the sponsors on the back would probably just be in white. It was a navy. I kind of like the lighter blue, the Heather Royal, just something a little bit different. But I could go to that. I could go to the company if you want to see these a little bit bigger, but I don't know how well you can tell what the colors are. Just to do something a little different, so we weren't just dark and dark, but navy would work fine, especially since we already have it teed up. But figured we'd ask you guys what color your preference. We are using a different vendor this year. The vendor we've used in the past was almost double the cost of the vendors that Racemaker provided for us. So I don't know that I uploaded it. I think I could get it though. I think they were like 14 something bucks a shirt, and these are $7 to $8 a shirt. So we felt that was more reasonable, and so we just got to pick a color and get them teed up.
I like that pun. Get it teed up.
Oh.
I like the
unintentionally.
Carolina blue.
The Carolina blue heather.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Anybody else have preferences? I know this is the most exciting decision you could make today.
I will say, I like the way it looked on the navy, and I wish I could see it on the,
On a bigger.
Yeah, I say that. So Sissy has the logo up now. So I don't know about the gold on the Carolina blue. That would look funky.
That was Nikki's just biting her tongue over here. That was her.
Sorry.
You can chime in. It's fine. That was the concern: is how that logo and that golden looks on that lighter color. It probably isn't gonna. As much as it pains me, it's probably not gonna look that great on the lighter color.
What about
This is what it
What,
looked.
what about the blue on the yellow, on the mustard yellow? Like kind of reverse it.
Yeah. Well.
Not
yeah,
like the blue, but that one.
yeah. So that's why we have the two, because this is more. This is what you'd
I
use
guess
for the
gold
lighter
wouldn't look
shirt.
Great though. On
Oh,
the
okay.
yellow.
What about the navy
The
heather?
Nine Star would kind of not look great either.
Yeah, and then you got the darker one for the. this
I was
is what's-
thinking the forest green heather would probably look, the gold on that would look good.
I already had it up. Sorry. Which one did you say, Catherine?
The forest green. If we like the look of the navy, maybe the green might be
Forest.
a compromise. Which is underneath the Carolina blue.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I couldn't even see it.
It's a real dark green.
Yeah.
It's like the forest.
What was your favorite, Nikki?
Just plain navy.
Deep navy or team navy?
I like the team navy.
With the heather.
Yeah.
It's more
Yeah.
like a heather.
That's got a little bit of white in it, so it breaks it. Yeah, it's like the heather.
Yeah.
It's. I had a picture of it here. Oh, I'm never gonna see that.
Yeah, the example looks pretty cool.
Of the team navy.
Yeah, that's in our agenda. That looks,
I think that's the deep navy.
oh, that's deep navy. Okay.
Yeah, the one you're looking at is the deep,
Oh,
just
okay.
solid navy. The
Okay,
the
okay.
heather or the team navy. The heathers have like a white
Okay, sure.
and navy blend. It's not much white. It just breaks it up a little
Yeah.
bit. I wish I had the website up. You can kind of zoom in and see it a little bit better. But
I mean, if you didn't want to go dark, we could do the first one that's in the blue and the gold on a gray shirt. Everything goes on gray.
yeah, it would work
If you
too.
wanted a lighter color.
I don't mind going dark. I just I tend to get into everything. Every shirt I own is navy, so I just didn't want to get into that pattern with these shirts. But it's fine.
I do
and
like
for
the
first
color of
year,
the
it makes sense.
Carolina blue. Can we change the gold on the t-shirt? That's the problem with that gold on that Carolina blues don't look funny.
Yeah.
I think either one of the
We could-
navies.
We could do one of the navies this year and arm wrestle for it next year. Is everyone okay with that? Do you have a preference on the heather or the deep navy? All right.
Cost difference between
Well,
the two?
They'll be the same.
The only thing that matters is that it's a tri-blend t-shirt. That's important.
That is,
It's
I
very
fought for
important.
that because
Yes.
last year's was so soft and I
Yeah.
loved it. And I was like, I don't care what the shirt is as long as it's that shirt
Agree.
again. That
Yeah.
tri-blend's great. So, all right, we'll finish that up then.
You know, as far as publicizing it, putting it on the Facebook page seems like it gets more and more traction, and even put it on the Fortville page.
It's always slow and early, and then as it gets
Yeah.
closer to the date, we get a rush. The one thing Nikki did look up, it's the same day as the Colts 5K downtown, which probably isn't great. But we tend to get more of we didn't get a lot of kids last year, frankly. It's more of the runners that are in Fisher's Run Group
Yeah,
and things like that don't make that decision until the very end.
yeah.
The folks
So-
that don't have to train for the 5K can
Yeah.
just randomly jump in and
Exactly. just
Check the
makes it
weather.
difficult for us
Yeah.
to get everything put together. So we'll keep pushing it out, and we'll start to panic in like 3 weeks. It'll be fine. So, all right. I guess there should be some point where if we don't, is there a number where we just don't have a lot of people that we cancel this thing?
It's never
Or we just
happened.
hold it no matter what and just don't do it again if nobody signs up. So I guess we'll make that determination later, but again, we try to hit that 100, 125 person number. We've had that success so far. So, all right. Any other questions on the 5K? And you're all welcome to come out and join us that morning and hand out medals or do whatever. It's a little easier this year because we'll packet pickups a little different, and then Racemaker has staff members that are handling the race. We already have our MC signed up, and so it'll be handing out medals and clean up, tear down, and we got help from DPW last year on that as well. So wasn't too bad. But always glad to have you. Want to go to the summer party?
Yes, sorry.
So, let's see if I can make that a little bigger. So vendors, we've had a couple not-for-profit vendors that wanted to pop something up, so we waived the fee for them. But we've had, and Nikki, Nikki has done all the work on this, so quite a few groups doing the pop-up tents. We're gonna have a pretty good amount of vendors here. So, all in, for $40 a pop, it raised about $640 towards the expenses, which is fantastic. And I think people enjoy walking through those. And we've had a couple others that wanted to come out and just do something. Like we're not charging Stanley Chevy, but they wanted to sponsor. They were a gold sponsor at the 5K, and they asked if they could come out and do something at this as well. I'm like, sure, absolutely.
They want to bring a pace car in one of their newer vehicles and just kind of have their own little promotional
Yeah.
area. I think they might be giving out some giveaways too.
And like, was it Kinsey's?
They'll be walking around, instead of putting up a tent, Kinsey's wants to have a staff member walk around and just give out coupons.
Yeah,
'Cause I
we're
don't think
fine
they
with
have a
that, too.
staff to have somebody there the whole time tuning
Yeah.
in a tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have all the fun events for the kids, and then we got the LED screen so we can start the movie earlier, so we don't have to wait till pitch black to see it, because none of us want to be here till 11, and you lose half your crowd anyway. So, so the event's 6 to 9. So we'll probably start the movie at 7:30, 8 o'clock. It'll go a little beyond 9 at that point, but then the vendors can kind of.
And what's the date on
The same day as the 5K.
The 19th. So it'll be a long day for a few of us. And then as far as sponsors for that, we're at about $4,200 towards that. So doesn't cover all the costs, but it covers a significant amount of the cost. So makes this a much more palatable event. And Southworks stepped up right away and donated $2,500 as a title sponsor. And you can see we've had several others pop in there, and the 150s also. All these guys get pop-up tents as well. So we'll have the pop-up. Hopefully the weather's good and there's not a lot of wind. We don't have tents blowing everywhere. So
Just
but-
an FYI, on the Harvest Church, they sponsored it $1,000. They kind of want a little bit of say, or maybe something that they can improve of a movie. Since they're putting their name on it, they want it to be a movie that is definitely family friendly. I've assured them of that, and I asked them if they had any suggestions, and they said maybe something Disney-ish. So I was hoping that we could hold out as long as possible to see what the new releases I could get closer to that time would be. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that or have a movie in mind.
Does somebody have the movie license to show it outside?
we will buy that as part of
Yeah.
it. Swank Motion Pictures.
Yeah.
You license the
Yeah.
movie.
Right, and the company that we hired to do like the axe throwing and the jumpy thing and all of the other events that are coming out, they take care of that for us.
Oh,
So that's
that's
part of
good.
the cost that we already paid in that contract with them.
Okay.
There's that new, The Little Mermaid, like, live human
Live
version.
action?
I can look into that.
I haven't seen it, just.
I haven't either.
I mean,
There was a
mostly
sl-
for the kids to watch, right? So I mean, it's not like
I'm trying to think what's
You're
been out.
it's not like we were going to show the new John Wick or anything.
I mean,
I could make it happen.
Indiana Jones?
Great.
There you go.
I mean, even Barbie's
I mean, I
PG-13.
know that new Super Mario movie came out recently.
yeah, that was
Oh,
great.
yeah. That
I don't know if
was
they'll
very
like that one or not. We have to run it by them, but I don't know if it's like a license.
I have no
There's a
idea if it's
delay
licensed
from
or-
when it's in
yeah.
theaters to when they license it for
Mhm.
public showings. And so we'll kind of get a list. We'll look at Swank Motion Pictures here in the next few weeks and see what's out there and then make a recommendation. We'll find something fairly recent that's kid friendly. So things are going well. We're going to continue to keep fundraising up right into the events. So. Alright. So real quick on budgeting and staffing items. So all this is preliminary right now, but we're working on budgets already for 2024. And as I was kind of talking beforehand, we're not quite there yet, but next year is going to be a big stride for parks getting lined up for 25. You know, because we're going to start finishing up the available space at McCord Square. We're trying to get the RFP out the door. If we could just get a little bit of time to review it for improvements at Old School Park to get that first phase going and spend that money. I'm excited about that project. And then there's a concept here. We're working with the old volunteer fire department on possibly taking that over and creating a community center. That's not a done deal by any means, but it's just a concept, but you should be aware. I'm really excited about this if it works, and I don't know when we put the money together to actually get it done. But if we do, this becomes a community center for events, since we've had to restrict them here, rentals. This building kind of divides up in two. It was added on, then added on, then added on, which makes it more of a nightmare to renovate, but we'll get there. But this could be kind of the crux for summer camps, programming. Ryan and I have already talked about if this becomes a reality, how we safely connect Old School Park to the community center so that you can start out your day there, go down to the park for fun, and get back and have some kind of shared trail or sidewalk system there that takes you right to the park. A lot of cool things that could happen with this if it comes to fruition. And they've been great to work with. We just haven't struck a deal yet, so I don't want to get too into the weeds on this. But this could also down the road act, there'll be kind of a meeting space over here and then the bigger space over here. Someday, if we're big enough and things are going crazy enough, this could actually end up being the park offices on one side of this, where you actually do all your rentals and you do all your programming and everything. So all that to say, one of the things we've suggested for next year is, I had pushed this out. We were kind of talking about doing some maintenance. People has come on, but reality is next year it's still going to be pretty fresh, and we're just going to basically mow. So we're kind of recommending just some part-time summer help to help maintain it until it gets established. We're not really going to be doing any programming, and it's not going to really be open till the fall anyways. But this concept of everything coming online, of getting the park director on board and starting to hand this park department over to kind of relieve Ryan and I of some of it. We're still working on the master planning, negotiating land purchases, conceptual designs, but we probably don't need them the first half of the year. So what our recommendation is to kind of build in a half-year parks director. And just to kind of set the expectation, what I see a parks director being, it's a lot of admin, especially these first few years. They're going to be setting policies, procedures. You know, if we have a new rental building, they're going to have all the, fire exits and what happens in emergencies and what are the rental forms look like, and what are the deposits, and what program, as we redo our website, do we use for park signups and program signups? And they're going to start establishing what programming they want to do in the new year and waivers that need to be created for that. There is a ton of admin that goes to this, a lot of legal work as well. So that's the expectation, and next year is just starting to wade through a lot of that and figure out what the community wants. Get in the community. Do we need senior programming? Do we need summer camps? Do we need after-school programming? And how do we work that in? And how do we create the budget for it as well? Plus, we have all our events, and
Maybe they should start in January.
well, you could make that argument, but budget-wise, we're trying to build it in and grow as the town grows. So I think as we're still getting some of this online, we'll use some of the money from the Park Cume Fund to kind of fund a half year. I did a very little bit, and this is all a recommendation to council. Council, A, we got to get the budget balanced, which right now we're not, and B, we're to where we think our growth is, I should say. Don't want to confuse there. B, then council has to say, yeah, I think this is a priority and we want to do it. Just pulled off some data. This is kind of the median of Indiana's park directors. This changes based on title, but so we probably see this as being a 65 to 70 range as a director level. And chart a lot of flexibility in your schedule, nights, weekends, things like that. So half a year would be in the 30-35 range, or 35-40 range. No, 30-35 range, sorry. I'll get the math eventually. So that's going to be kind of our recommendation, but I think as you start thinking about everything that has to come online and all the different documents and processes and procedures and books of information that are going to have to be created, and you don't reinvent the wheel on all that, right? And I want to get involved in the Indiana Park and Rec Association, which is a valuable resource. Plus, there's a lot of grants out there that we just don't have time to pursue. And you learn those through the Indiana Park and Rec Association. So start pursuing grant opportunities, because we have a ton of development we want to do. So I think it's probably the right call to get them on board. We could go earlier, but the reality is by the time we create the job description, get it posted, interview, you're half year in. We're probably posting this thing early in the year for hiring in mid-year. So we haven't set any salary to it. We haven't had that discussion with anybody. This is actually the first time I've really talked about it publicly, other than with Stephanie and Kathy in the clerk treasurer's office, and a little bit with the finance committee. So we'll take some thoughts on that. We're gonna, the goal is with the part-time maintenance people too, is that we build those into full-time jobs, but it's a way to get a little bit of help. Take some of the mowing and trimming responsibility off of DPW so they can do other jobs throughout the summer. Start it with some part-time and build those into full-time. So we're trying to ramp up our staffing instead of just pull the Band-Aid and fund it all at once, because it's just the safer route to do it. But
I mean, I think hiring the director first makes sense, just in terms of getting them in and getting their feet wet, figuring out what they need and when, and priorities and ownership and.
I think there's a ton of work there. And even starting in July, parents get used to signing their kids up in wintertime for what they're doing in the summer. So
Yeah.
if we are thinking about any programming in 25, they need to be working on it to have it ready to roll out at the beginning of the year for 25. So it sounds like plenty of time, 6 months. Oh, 6 months, no problem. It'll fly by and we won't be ready. And in fact, that was one of the comments I think Greg Brewer said is you're probably talking about a year and a half worth of work before you get into actual doing summer camps and programming, because they won't be ready by next year. But depends how good a person we hire.
What connections they have.
Yeah. And the reality is, like, next year, even if we get the community center, it's going to sit there while we figure out how to architecture. We got to get architects on board and design it, and then get quotes and figure out how we're going to fund it. And that won't be a cheap fix at all. That's probably going to be some kind of small geo bond or something.
What's going to happen with this building when the town center is done?
This building's, because we're building the police station to open up space that we need so that we have offices for a park director. That's the other thing. We don't have anywhere to put them right now. So until we move the police out, we really can't hire anyone, because I'm not sure where they're going to go. So part of the idea is when the police move out, we're gonna renovate this building too and open up some additional office space as well as another meeting room, where the police meeting room is as well. So we have a lot on our plate, but it all kind of dominoes in. So, you know, police are supposed to be done by July with the building. They probably won't actually be in there until like September. And then we won't actually, if I can find the money to kind of get the plans for this isn't a heavy renovation here. It's more moving some walls, putting some new carpet in, making sure the HVAC works, all that good stuff. But we get that done as soon as police move out, and then we get functional here and move on, so. That's kind of the plan. Outside of that, budget-wise, you know, we're not, you know, we originally talked about buying a truck for maintenance. But we'll need a park vehicle for the director to run around parks all the time and haul. People forget is part of what I'm planning on in the renovation is Parks Director office plus their storage office because they have balls and equipment and crafts and everything else, and all of a sudden they're filling up a room, as well as some kind of vehicle to get them around and haul that stuff. And then we're also kind of just in the realm of where parks are right now. We're probably gonna be ordering some standard trash cans, benches to start rolling those out in the new areas. Those are things that are cheaper, that we have the money in the park cumulative capital this year, which is about 50,000, that we can take off the budget in McCord Square because we're trying to get the big things done at McCord Square. So we have kind of standard equipment now that we've picked out, and we'll probably do like order 8 trash cans. Those aren't cheap. Or like I said, benches, or what are some other things that we, bike racks, start rolling out so we have a standard feel what McCordsville stuff are. So there you go. Any questions?
No.
I will tell you too, here, I did pull this up, let me show this. We've had a lot of conversations about parks, and I don't want to put this on too long, but we obviously have everything in McCord Square coming together. We have improvements here. We've met recently, this is outside town, but we've met with the soccer owners of the soccer field about, you know, future plans out there and things we'd be interested and they'd be interested. Nothing coming together anytime soon, but I'm fascinated from my viewpoint. McCordsville doesn't have a lot of history. It does as farming history, whatnot, but it doesn't have like those really cool, like, oh my God, if there was a way the town could preserve the old racetrack, I'd love to see us get involved in that somehow.
I didn't know
don't
there
how
was an
that'll-
old racetrack.
It's an old dog track.
It's a quarter.
Yeah.
It's actually just shy of a quarter. I found out, but it's a quarter mile. It was actually sprint car racing, and then it was a dog park. They have a fascinating website. You should go to. It kind of gives the history and shows it. But that is the original track, and so they did a great job preserving it in their design. But I'd love to see it. Make sure it doesn't get bulldozed someday, and do a little historical fact. Someday, I would love, as housing builds all around this, I'd love to acquire this farm here, basically, and create kind of a mini agri-park and preservation of the round barn. I'd love to create that into not only educational space, but also kind of some McCordsville history that could be done. DPW could use some of the farming. We could do a big community garden up here and kind of use it as a homestead, and I think that'd be really cool someday. And we've met with preliminary with Outlook Church a little bit, as they have plans back here to do some fields. We have had football and baseball and softball teams saying, well, we need field space, So we know as a town, at some point, we need to build some sort of, not grand park, but, you know, maybe a couple multi-use fields and 3 or 4 ball diamonds, some a little more McCordsville scale somewhere. And there could be an opportunity where we go a little south of here, where there's some land that's tough to develop, and partner with them and develop an overall sports park, or somewhere else. It could be somewhere else too, but those conversations have been coming online, trying to figure out how that looks. Again, we're kind of in the mode of acquire the land now and figure out how to build it later, but have a plan towards that in our
Yeah.
5-year master plan. So we're looking at all these opportunities now, knowing we can't build everything I just showed you, or even acquire everything we showed you, but we're gonna have to figure out as a Parks Board and as a community what the priority of those units are and which ones we want to focus on first, second, and third. So right now, if the opportunity comes up, you can't do anything if you don't own the land. So I think there's some unique partnership opportunities. I think there's some really cool things we can do with parks. There's a couple trailhead ideas that are being looked at. We have the Haven Ponds extension of Geist Trail. That's actually going to come online sooner than we thought. Not necessarily our park, but Fisher's actually did a huge extension down that we didn't know they were doing. And then there's one more development that's going to finish the connector down to 1,000 and it's going to hit our trail. So that trail connection is going to become coming sooner than later. I can't even find it up here, to be honest. It's like right here. So this is the last development that's going to come in, and then it's going to come down, and our trail will be here. And then of all the weird things, the town owns this little chunk right here, which would be a great like trailhead. So we could put a bathrooms and bike racks, a parking lot there, connect it down 1,000 with some very distinct trail to hit the trail, and then you can go all the way up to Hamilton Town Center and eventually down to McCord Square, all on a trail system. So a lot of cool things in the hopper. How they all fall into place is to be determined, but I think it's an exciting time to be on the Parks Board, and I think there's a lot of really neat opportunities out there I'm excited for. So
What's going on with Liberty Ponds or whatever it's ended up being called, that subdivision? Isn't there gonna be some,
where you
isn't
have
it
to-
like 500 and 1,000 subdivision?
Oh, Rivendell?
Well, it's changed names so many times.
So Haven Ponds is right here.
Okay,
And that's the one that'll have the trail right here,
Okay,
the linear
okay.
trail right here. And then Rivendell goes out to 400 here, but that one kind of fell through. But we have a developer actually coming to the council last night that wants to pick it up and kind of do a modified, smaller plan with it. And I like that development because 400's our sewer district, so that'll really set the corner of McCordsville about how far out we can go, because the other side's Fortville. And do a nice little welcome to McCordsville, and then kind of finish off our 1,000 North development. So we'll see what council feedback is tomorrow night on that one. But yeah, this is Haven Ponds, which is pushing dirt now, and that's where our linear park will be. And
Yeah.
there's a shelter and we got rid of the rain garden stuff and put more usable activities in there because I don't want to maintain the rain garden. Any questions? And we'll obviously, if we do get to a point where we put a park director in, the park board will be involved in the hiring of the park director. So
Thank you. Public comment? Okay. Next meeting is September 11th. And that's it.
that's
Is
it.
there anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
So
Thank
it's
you
not
all.
park related.